Back here on a Thursday morning. Glad to have you with us. And the election inching closer and closer, just a few days away, and kind of to join me as someone running for local office, and that would be in House District 45. Tom Schmit will be on the ballot. And good morning. Thanks for coming in. How are you today?
Oh, good, Dave. Thanks for taking the time to have me on.
Well, I appreciate it. So let's start with the big question I ask a lot of folks is why are you running this in this election here in 2016? Give us a little background for us.
Well, I've been interested in the politics of Laramie and Albany County for quite a while, probably about 30 years. I've kept tabs on a lot of meetings and movements and been in a few myself. I started going to the legislature about 2004 and spoke at my first committee meeting there and got what I thought was a pretty bad bill killed. So I've been going to committee meetings quite a bit since. I probably go to about 4 to 5 every year. So I know the legislature. I'm pretty used to it. I'm experienced in it. I know the timing, and quite a few of the people are familiar with me and know me.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about things that you feel are facing the challenges of folks here in Albany County. Obviously, in House District 45 that you're running in here. What are some of the major platforms you're looking at here? Should you get elected in tackling in the state legislature?
Sure. One of the things I'd like to see is Wyoming really develop its economy. Wyoming has a wonderful raw material industry here. We get a lot of money from it. It supports the schools. The one thing Wyoming seems to have missed over the years quite a bit is diversifying these raw materials into other jobs and products. I think Wyoming's got a wonderful opportunity with diversifying coal, natural gas, our Trona products. We need to manufacture the products here and process them. Otherwise, we're selling everything at wholesale and we buy it back at retail. And that keeps us poorer than most states. If we make it here, we'd make the money here. Yeah. So I would really like to push that and promote that more.
So obviously you see trains kind of crisscrossing the state all the time carrying heavy loads of coal, but that's going other places to basically get processed. And so you'd like to see us maybe try and build some places within the borders, it sounds like, where we can do the manufacturing.
Right. I'd like to see the coal mining keep going and even expand. But we could also divert some of that to good paying jobs here in Wyoming. And the more manufacturing we have here, the more research and development that will grow, and the more opportunities we have for our college graduates in engineering and the extraction industries.
A lot of people talk about diversifying the economy. Other than doing that and trying to keep that manufacturing, what else does this state do you feel we need to do to try and diversify the economy, which has been bantered about so much here during this election season because of the downtick in the energy sector right now?
Well, I've talked about manufacturing. There's more could go with that. I always thought Laramie would have been a great place for an airplane manufacturing assembly plant.
Okay.
We got a high altitude facility here. If it flies in Laramie, it'll fly anywhere. Because we got a high altitude airport. I always thought something like that would be a great thing. We've got the wind generation possibilities, as long as they don't have to be subsidized. I don't think we should subsidize one energy product over another.
Okay.
I think there's a great potential there, but they're just going to have to get more efficient than what they are. Same with solar panels. Solar panels are not quite as efficient as most people would like to think, or what Solar City would tell you. I work in electrical work, and I've tested these out on different scales, and the payback time is quite a bit longer than what they tell you. But if anybody wants details on that, they can call me up.
All right. And you can get a hold of, if you're looking for stuff, Tom Schmit for HD45.com is the website to learn more about Tom. But we're just kind of chit-chatting a little bit. What have you been hearing from constituents in House District 45 in terms of what they feel are concerns right now from a local level that the state may not be handling the way they look at best for here in Albany County and Laramie?
What I've gathered, healthcare is a big issue.
Okay.
And some people have brought that up. And we have this issue, the Medicaid expansion, that Wyoming could move in on. Now, at this point, I'm opposed to it. And I'll tell you why in a little bit, but most people by this point have realized that Obamacare is not going to make it. It's kind of a failure. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of concerned that since Obamacare is a failure, I don't see where the Medicaid expansion would be a whole lot better. But as Medicaid expansion, as the program works, as I understand it, the government will give us $268 million, the federal government. And this would help the 20,000 people in Wyoming who don't have coverage now. Generally what happens in most of the states I've read about, when the state takes this money, then about 2 or 3 times more people sign up than they anticipated. And Wyoming's on the hook for this, and the federal payments will keep decreasing until there's zero, and Wyoming has to make up the difference. And I'm concerned that in time, within about 5 or 10 years, Wyoming would be saddled with a 600 to 700 million liability, which we'd have to make up somehow. I don't think we have the money for that right now. I think there's solutions out there for the people who can't get health insurance. We need to let health insurance companies cross the state lines. Mm-hmm. We need to expand the use of medical savings accounts, and we need to promote the idea of health co-ops. I'm in a health co-op right now. Okay. I don't have health insurance, and it works among a pool of similar people, like-minded people. And so every month I write a check to some family for $450. If I have a claim, I get checks from around the country for $450. It works very good. There's about 25,000 families in it, and it was started by 2 or 3 homeschool families about 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. I think we could do that here in Wyoming.
Okay.
We could have our own pool for people who can't get insurance. So I'm pretty confident that there's people in Wyoming who could put this together, and I'd be willing to help do a feasibility study on it if I get enough interest on it.
Oh, all right, it'll be interesting. And again, we're talking with Tom Schmit, House District 45 candidate, kind of have to join me on the program this morning. We've touched on healthcare is a big issue, obviously the economy here. Education is another topic that a lot of people want to discuss, Tom, and it sounds like you're one that you want to let the kind of parents choose what they should do in terms of educating their children in terms of the best decision possible for their child.
Well, education's always a big issue in Wyoming. Mm-hmm. I believe the state education system would be better if it had a little bit more competition.
Okay.
I think that would be good for it. Now, Wyoming's got a pretty good thing going with education. We spend about $17,000 per child in our system. South Dakota spends $8,500, and Utah spends $6,800 per child. So, we put a lot of money in education.
Right.
And, I don't know where people, a lot of people want to expand money on education. I really don't know where they're going to get it. If we can hold the line on what we got, I would say we got a pretty good deal going. But I can't guarantee any future outcomes. And I wouldn't make any cuts if it weren't necessary, or had the money. But Wyoming spends quite a bit more than all our neighbors do on education.
Well, and I think sometimes that gets lost on people, but I think also sometimes you got to realize that our population base isn't quite what it is. So I mean, there's a little bit of a balance in that regard. Where are you at from a land standpoint here? Because I know those land and property rights issues have come up. Sure. When I've talked with fellow neighbors in my district, in my precinct.
Yeah, I'm big on land and property rights. I've read about it for quite a few years. I've accumulated quite a bit of information on it. I believe a no trespassing sign means just that.
Okay.
I'm very respectful of that. And it seems to be we have groups in the state that don't really want to pay attention to that. And ranchers are concerned about this, of course, and so are developers and just plain household owners out in the country. They're just concerned about people who want to come across their property for a bike trail or a hiking trail. And Wyoming's got a lot of wide open spaces.
Right.
But still, private property is private property. It has to be respected, and we have to abide by that.
Well, as we continue to visit again, Tom Schmit, House District 45 candidate, kind of have to come in and talk a little bit about some things. And your House District 45, you're running against Charles Pelkey, who would be the incumbent. He's been in there for just a couple of years here. How do you feel like you differ from what Mr. Pelkey brings to the table in this election here coming up with just 5 days away here?
Yeah, it's coming up, thankfully. It'll be over soon. Well, Charles and I differ probably on most issues. That's why we're in different parties. Mm-hmm. I think I'm strong on land rights, property rights. Probably most of what Charles and I talk about, we would disagree slightly to quite a bit. Mm-hmm. I'm very pro-education. Charles is. It's just probably Charles would say that we need more money for the state education. And
Okay.
I would say we probably got enough there.
Okay.
We probably differ on our opinions on what the wage gap is,
Mm-hmm.
and probably on healthcare issues, how much should be funded and who should fund it.
Obviously. You mentioned the wage gap issue, and
Right.
obviously that's come up, that's crept up a little bit, especially kind of on the national scene and things like that. So, what do you mean by you differ? Where is your stance here on the wage gap issue?
Well, here's my experience with the wage gap.
Okay.
I think it's mostly a media issue, but I think the wage gap is mainly an issue of choice in our country. In America, we start with equal opportunity, but we can't guarantee equal outcomes. So I know quite a few women doctors in town, and I'm sure they make more money than I do. I know some women nurse practitioners in town, and they make more than I do, and they should. They have a riskier job. I was at a forum the other night with the other candidates, and there were 3 lady Democrats there on the forum with me, and they all work for the university, and they all make more money than I do. So, I think the wage gap is mostly a matter of choice. You can't pay a receptionist the same as the doctor. It's probably not going to work. But if a woman wants to be a journeyman welder, she'll get paid what a journeyman welder makes.
Okay.
If she wants to go on an oil derrick, she'll get paid the same as those guys on the derrick do. So I'm not sure where the wage gap exists. Nobody's really pointed out specifically to me.
Well, some would say, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here
Sure.
with you, Tom. Some would say though that she might not get paid as much as the guy on the oil derrick, or she might not get paid as much as the journeyman welder, and so that's where I think some people might have an issue with it. So, what would be your response to that?
Well, I haven't seen it happen in my experience. I've been in the
Okay.
trades for quite a while.
Okay.
And if a woman is a journeyman electrician, she'll get paid what a journeyman electrician makes. Except, if she's only been doing it for 2 years and the guy's been doing it for 10. But she'll get paid the same as the guy doing it 2 years. And that's why, more ladies are involved with Climb Wyoming. I think this is a good deal.
Okay.
I have a friend in the HVAC business who just got done with a class of ladies. And when they're done, they'll be paid the same as the other technicians.
Okay. House District 45 encompasses quite a bit of this city, from from kind of south to north to west. House District 45 is a pretty big perspective. So I'm sure you hear a lot of different perspectives from constituents in that district, just based on encompassing a wide variety here, based on the map for House District 45. It's a little unique here in Albany County.
45 is an interesting cross section. We got West Laramie and West Side,
Right.
and then we got some of the downtown, and then we have islands way out east, like on 18th Street and
Yeah.
Barrett out there. So, you know, we cross quite the gamut of people, from professionals to working guys, trades, and small business owners, all scattered through there.
Yeah, it certainly is. Anything else people need to know about you, just to, you know, before casting a ballot, trying to make a tough decision coming up on Tuesday in terms of who they want to elect to represent them in House District 45?
Well, I take this very seriously, and I will do my best to stay with what my literature says, the promises that are on there. And I'm pretty pro-free market capitalism, low taxes, small government, low regulations.
All right, well, appreciate the conversation this morning. Thanks for your time, and good luck on Tuesday.
Okay, Dave, thanks a lot.
All right, appreciate it. That's Tom Schmit, kind of have to come in. Candidate for House District 45 here in Albany County. And as Tom mentioned, and we were talking just a moment ago, it is a wide variety of area of town here in across Albany County. So good luck to Tom as he puts forth his candidacy here, and we're just 5 days away from the election coming up on Tuesday, November 8th. You can vote early, absentee balloting, voting early. You can even take advantage of Albany County offering Saturday early voting and registration. This Saturday, November 5th, being the last one from 9 a.m. until noon at the Elections Building on the east side of the courthouse. You can call them for more information. And again, that telephone number for them is 721-2546. My thanks to candidate Tom Schmit as we continue with Army Live on KOWB.